Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for another SearchLab webinar. I'm very excited, and I got to give a special extra thanks to my commensurate colleague, world-renowned local SEO expert, Greg Gifford, our Chief Strategy Officer, because I was going to jam with Greg and help do these audits, but now Greg's going to do it on his own because it turns out you can get the flu in Florida in June. So Greg, thank you so much for picking up my dead weight.
Now I kind of feel like I want to kick back and let you do all the talking just to see what happens when you're feeling under the weather and unable to talk.
Right? Yeah. We'll watch me pass out live on the webinar, but we're going to get started. I'm going to stay in the webinar itself, but I'm going to mute myself. You guys don't need to hear me coughing and sniffling and all those other things, but I'm going to be here to make sure that no questions slip through the cracks. And then also, if you know Greg, he likes to get into the weeds. So we're going to try to keep him on track to get through as many of the submitted websites as we can. And then at the end, I'll have a QR code for you for anyone interested in receiving a full audit from SearchLab Digital. So that's it for me. Greg, take it away.
All right, so let's get this going. I'm going to try to squeeze in as many as I can. We're going to try to stay under 10 minutes per, just so that I can dig in enough to give some help and insight to people, but also where I'm not talking so much about one site that other people that submitted sites don't get to see what happens with theirs. So let's start it off. We're going to start with one that's actually local to me. And we're going to do Sewell Infinity of Dallas. So first thing I always like to do is check the Google Business Profile. So looking here, one thing that I see that is a problem right off the bat. Oh, let me start my little timer. We are not consistent on what the name of the dealership is. So if we look at the website and everywhere else, they're referred to as Sewell Infinity, yet the Google Business Profile is Sewell Infinity of Dallas. So it's really problematic to Google's algorithm when you don't know what your own business name is. So if your business name is different variations across the web, that's a bad pattern. And both Google and AI search systems are pattern detection programs. They're going to look at that pattern. And so if your pattern isn't matching, that's problematic. So right off the bat, biggest problem, let's be consistent. You're either Sewell Infinity of Dallas everywhere, or you're Sewell Infinity just by itself. Now, normally when I'm doing these audits, I would point out it's not a great thing that a paid search ad is appearing when I'm doing a specific search for the name of the dealership. But in this case, it's okay because I'm actually in the Dallas market, so I should be seeing paid search for them. So then going top down, looking at, let's check out their reviews. If we look at their reviews, they've got a 4.4 score with 1,300 reviews. Let's check out their newest reviews and scroll through. Now, something 18 hours ago, we're not too worried about them not having an answer on, but it looks like we've got replies to pretty much every review. And these are all looking good. Now, I also like to go back up and let's check out the lowest rated reviews to see what sorts of responses they're putting there. The responses look pretty good. This one right here where you're saying, hey, oh, it looks like we already deal with that. So yeah, it looks like their responses are good. Okay, so next thing down, they're listed as an Infinity dealer as their primary category, which would be correct. Let's check out what the other categories are that are listed. And my little plugin right here should work, but it is not for some reason. Okay, we've got some problems. Up there, the other one popped up too. Now, you should have separate department profiles set up for service and parts. In literally every case, unless you're a very small town dealer in Iowa or Wyoming or North Dakota or somewhere where there's just no competition for like 100 miles in any direction, then you're okay just having a single profile. But anywhere else, you need to have at minimum at least a service department separate GBP. And it's really important that your primary profile has only categories related to sales, and your service categories go on service. And if you have parts categories, those go on parts. So right here on the primary profile, we see auto parts store, auto repair shop, and car wash. That's super bad. We're missing a lot of things. They do sell SUVs, so we probably should have trucks, like used truck dealer. We should have auto lease. You know, there are other things there. We should have auto financing. So category selection is problematic for sure. They do have a service department profile set up. That's where you should have those service department categories, not on this one. And then let's check, do we have UTM tracking? I can't zoom in on this, but if you look down in the bottom, it shows the rollover, and we've got medium organic and sources G and B, Infinity of Dallas. That's totally fine. Then everything else looks good. They've got some good review justifications showing up. Google Posts could probably use a bit of work. We posted at least 2 on the 5th, 3 on the 5th, and let's see how many more. So they're definitely over posting. Yeah, so we only have 3 Google posts ever for this dealership, and they all happened on June 5th. The problem here is people aren't going to scroll through and see all of them. They're really only going to see the first 2. And that text is really small to see in the image, so that's not great. And this isn't compelling. Like, what is my offer? I see 0% sort of there, but I can't read the other stuff. So these offer posts, people tend to like them because it's got the little price tag emoji. I like the standard update post better because you have 3 full lines to write something more compelling so that people will click through. I always like to check this too. Typically, dealers like to link to their Twitter, and then they don't ever post on Twitter. So yeah, the most recent time that they've posted on Twitter was in 2017, so 9 years ago. You probably shouldn't be linking to your Twitter profile there. But then let's check out the website. Now, I noticed when I pulled up this website in prepping for the call that it loaded very slowly. Now, it's a Dealer Inspire website, if I remember correctly. Yep, Dealer Inspire. Dealer Inspire is the best platform to be on in automotive, but this one's running really slow for a reason, and I don't know why. But if we look, the total load time is 11 seconds. That's bad. That's probably causing a bit of a demotion in search results, and it's definitely not good for customers. And just watch what happens. I'm going to click over just to a random page on finance, and just nothing even changes. And we're waiting, and we're waiting, and then it's a blank screen. And if I was really shopping for a car, I'd be bouncing out and going to a competitor at this point. So we for sure want to pay attention to the fact that the site's very slow. This is way too many images in a homepage slideshow. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 images in a slideshow. Let's see if they even have alt text on these images. And it's just 2027 QX5 offer. So it's not optimized alt text. But the problem with loading so many images is your customers are never going to sit there and just wait. They're not going to sit there and watch the slideshow go by. They're also not going to click through and look at every slide in the slideshow like this. And Dealer Inspire slideshows get really wonky anyway. So like, it's not even going to where I'm clicking for it to go because their slideshow thing is messed up. So I would examine that. But the problem is you're loading in all of these images, these 9 images that are large images, and that's going to slow the site down because it's got to load all those images. Customers don't use it anyway. Have a single image. You're always better off. Then coming down, let's see if we've got alt text on these. We do not have. You see right there, it says alt with nothing. This is problematic. So I don't know if the guys that submitted this site are on the call. You may be just watching the replay, but for everyone watching, alt text is important for 2 reasons. Number one, it's part of the algorithm. So anytime you're adding optimized alt text to the image, it gives you just that little bit of an edge over your competition when they're not doing it. But most importantly, federal law around the ADA compliance laws for websites state that websites have to be accessible to anyone regardless of their level of an ability. So if someone has a visual impairment, they're going to be using a browser that reads the content out loud, and that browser can't tell what's in the image. So it will say there's a picture here, and then it will read the alt text. If you don't have alt text on an image that's traditionally embedded, if it's the background of a div, it doesn't matter. But if it's a traditional image embed like this, and you don't have alt text displayed, you can actually be sued by someone with a visual impairment for not having an accessible website. Now, you're going to say, well, why would a blind person be trying to buy a car? Maybe they're buying it for their family. We don't really know. It doesn't matter what their use case is. The fact remains, you're open to lawsuits for hundreds of thousands up to millions of dollars for not having alt text on your images. So you want to make sure that either your internal team or your digital marketing partner that's handling your SEO gets on top of that very quickly. And then let's look at text on the homepage. We've got a bunch of text here. It's okay. There's not a lot, though. That's the only text on the homepage, and your homepage should be telling people why you're amazing and what you do and why they should come see you. So we're lacking a bit there. If we look at the optimization elements, you should never have your dealership name as the first thing in the title tag. Now, the title tag is what shows up here in the tab above where you type in your URL, but it also is typically what populates the clickable blue text when you show up as a search result in Google. And Sewell Infinity is the only business named Sewell Infinity in the entire world. Anyone searching for Sewell Infinity, this guy's going to rank #1 no matter what. So you shouldn't waste valuable optimization space going for the dealership name. If anything, put it at the end of the title tag, but most people put it there for branding. But Google now displays the icon and the business name separately from the link and the title tag. So you don't need to worry about that. But then we have new and pre-owned Infinity for sale in DFW. That's kind of okay, except it should really say Dallas, because customers in the Dallas area don't search DFW, they search Dallas. And then headings, we should hopefully have new and pre-owned Infinity for sale, because that's what they're targeting with the most important weighted element on the page. And for H1 heading, it's just welcome to Sewell Infinity. And there's even no space between to and Sewell. So that's going to be a problem with Google as well. So not very well optimized. Let's go check out the pre-owned page. Everyone watching, customers don't search pre-owned. Customers search used cars. So this page should say either used or used cars, not pre-owned. Even though dealers love to say pre-owned, optimizing for pre-owned doesn't help you. So if we go here, let's just look at the general pre-owned inventory. And we're very slow. We're very slow. We're very slow. All right. I am at time. So let's, okay, why is it not turning off my timer? There we go. Okay, really quickly though, looking at this, see, we do have used cars. So that's great. They're optimizing correctly, except we have used cars near Dallas for sale. It should be used cars for sale in Dallas. Humans don't search for a topic near a city. They search for a topic in a city. So you're in Dallas, say that you're in Dallas, but check the problem out. Used cars here, used vehicles here. So again, we're not matching up. Also, really quickly, let's check their Yelp profile. It's always important to look at Yelp, because Yelp is what powers the stars on Apple Maps when people are looking from Apple Maps. So we have Sewell Infinity of Dallas, where over here we are also Sewell Infinity of Dallas, yet on the website, they refer to themselves as Sewell Infinity. So again, we're not consistent with the name of the dealership, so that's problematic. But it is time to move on to the next one. So hopefully the guys at Sewell got some helpful info out of that one. For the next one, we're going to Park Avenue Acura. So I ran this one on site speed, significantly faster. Look at that, a half a second for this site to load. So this one is definitely much better. We have Park Ave Acura here on Yelp, but notice it's unclaimed. So they have not claimed their profile, which means they're not able to respond to any of the reviews that they have, or to make sure that their hours are correct and edit the hours. So if you're at the Park Avenue Acura, either your in-house team or your SEO provider needs to go pay attention to this. This is absolutely critical. So hopefully you guys aren't paying for SEO, because bad. If we look at this and we come down to their reviews, you can see they haven't even gotten a review on Yelp since a year ago, but they're not able to respond to any of these reviews because they have not verified their profile. Now here, we have Park Ave Acura, so that looks correct. Let's check out their categories again. So if we come over here to look at the categories, oh, it pops up right there. We've got Acura dealer, car finance and loan, car leasing, motor vehicle dealer, truck dealer, used car dealer, and used truck dealer. So we're good on categories. Reviews, let's see, actually like looking at reviews over here a little bit better. The cool thing about looking at it here is you get these kind of topic buckets that are pulled out. So honest salesperson is mentioned 5 different times. That's amazing. A bunch of people are talking about the RDX. So all of these things, these all look to be good. We don't see any negative things that jump out. So that's a quick way to kind of check on things. And then if we're looking at the newest reviews, we're seeing responses to everything. we look at the lowest rated reviews, and we are seeing responses to everything. So that is great. If we come back to the business profile, we have a single profile for service and parts. Now, I don't know how big Rochelle is, so let's pop over to the map and see. Yeah, right there, that close to big markets, I would definitely have a separate parts and service profile, not one for both. So that would definitely help you. They do have UTM tracking on the links, which is great. So that is set up correctly. Some more justifications showing up. And we do have UTM tracking on this link. A lot of people miss that contact one. Let's check Twitter here. Never posted on Twitter at all. So why are you guys linking to that profile? That is not helpful for SEO. It is not helpful for customers. And if we come look at this, okay, these need a lot of help. We posted this 6 days ago, and it just says, rediscover power behind the wheel of your Acura. Learn more. There is no more text with it. Why would anyone click on that? But let's see where it goes. And it just goes to the homepage. So it's not even following. It's telling me learn more about discovering power behind the wheel of an Acura. And it just goes to the homepage of the website. So that is definitely not ideal. And then we've got, see this. Let's see if this goes to an RDX inventory list. I'm guessing actually it does. So that's kind of okay. And then there we go. Let's look at the website. So website platform, I always like to check that first. We are, wow, these pop-ups are bad. Okay, pop-ups, bad thing. If you have an automatic pop-up like this that happens without interaction. Now, Dealer On does some really cool stuff. If you're on a Dealer On site and you go to scroll off like you're going to close or navigate to a different site, you'll get a pop-up that is a behavioral pop-up. It's happening because of an action. Those are okay. These are not. We've got this schedule my $52 full oil change or my chat pop-up. When you have pop-ups that cover content, that is bad, and Google will penalize you. You will be demoted for those pop-ups. This was added into Google's algorithm over 2 years ago. So your SEO team, either in-house or SEO partner, should know this and be telling you don't have these pop-ups. And think of it from a user standpoint too. What do you do when you go to a website and there's a pop-up? You close it because you haven't even read anything yet. And in this case, people can see that there is a live chat button that follows them around in the bottom corner. You don't have to pop the chat up. How do I even know what I want to ask you yet? I've just landed on the website. So let's see. I can't tell on this one what this one is right off the bat. So let's look at the page source. It's Dealer Inspire. It's just not listed. So again, good on them. Homepage optimization wise, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And let's see if they have any alt text on there. It just says MDX lease. So these are not optimized well. If we're looking, we have, again, dealership name first in the title tag. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. And then we've got Acura Dealer in Rochelle Park. Okay, that's great, except what happens if I say, if this is what they're optimizing for, that would lead me to believe they need to show up for Acura Dealer in Rochelle Park. But if they're the only Acura Dealer in Rochelle Park, I'm just going to see a Google business profile for these guys and not a map pack. And I do, which means optimizing for Acura Dealer in Rochelle Park in your title tag on your homepage is not effective. They should instead be optimizing for Acura Dealer in a different market, or optimizing for used car dealer and then also Acura Dealer, because they're automatically going to rank for Acura Dealer. So that's not ideal. But then we should see this in the H1 heading, and their H1 heading on the page is Welcome to Park Ave Acura. So no matching of keyword phrase, no matching of location phrase. So not really very well optimized. Hopefully you guys aren't paying for SEO either. Let's check other images. As I scroll through this little plugin, what we don't want to see is things like this, where it's an image with a dash, because that means there is no alt text, but those are div backgrounds. So this is fine. So we're good on alt text. We don't have much text on the page at all. Like, this is literally the only text on the page at all. And this is not great. A lot of dealers love to, a lot of dealers love to say this, serving a city, right? Like, we're serving Jersey City. I don't know how far Rochelle Park to Jersey City. It's 30 minutes away. You're probably not likely to show up for Acura dealer in Jersey City, but you would not say serving Jersey City because, again, customers don't search that way. But here, let's do this. Take this sentence. We go to Google. We search for that sentence inside of double quotes, which forces Google to only show us exact matches and not very similar content. So if we do this, hopefully we only see one answer, and we do, one result. So that means this is unique content. So that's good. At least the content's unique, but all in all together, the entire content of this page is only 194 words. Now, you always want to remember the concept when you're talking about SEO or AI search. If you want to show up as a search result when somebody types something in to however they're searching, you need a singular page of content on your website about that singular topic. One idea, one location. You can't optimize for multiple things on one page or multiple cities on one page. So you want to pay attention to this. And that's one topic per page. And we're not trying to write the best answer in the entire internet or entire world. You just need the best answer to the question that that customer is asking in the local market. It's going to be impossible to be the best answer in the local market about being a car dealership that people love and people want to buy from and service from in 194 words of garbage content. So you need something that's there. Like, there's nothing here that is anything unique about this store. I could change out the city name and the store name, and this applies to literally any Acura dealer in the entire country. So that is not great. And again, we've got pre-owned instead of used. And we do have used cars here, but really it's not great to say, it's okay to have the number there. A lot of platforms will add that in. It's okay. But saying used cars, trucks, and SUVs in stock. Okay, well, there's 59 in stock, which makes sense, but it doesn't make sense to separate Rochelle Park from used cars, because the way that people search when they're looking for a used vehicle, they don't search used cars, trucks, SUVs. They would search used cars, maybe used truck, maybe used SUV, but the search volume for used cars is significantly higher because people look for used cars and then they filter to look for which body style of car they want. So really, we want used cars and the city as close together as possible, ideally right next to each other. And there's the timer for that one. So that's not ideal, but then we don't even have used cars here. So more problems there. I want to look over here. We have a leave us a review page. This is really important. I actually did a webinar with Dealery Process yesterday talking about how it's really important to make it easy for customers to leave a review. So it's great that they have that. And then they do not have a blog. And you absolutely need a blog in today's world, especially if you're worried about how you're showing up in AI search, because you have to feed the machine. You have to give it content for it to be able to know about you, to be able to recommend you to potential customers. And anything that is not buy now, buy now, buy now focus goes on your blog. That's the earlier informational type queries where people are trying to decide what they want to buy or where they want to get service, or do they even need service, or do they even need to buy. That's the kind of content that goes on your blog, and it helps get you better exposure earlier in the process, because according to the latest data from Google, the average new car buyer in the United States conducts 27 separate sessions of research before they're far enough down the funnel to convert by either showing up at the dealership or filling out a chat widget or a text widget or calling or filling out a form. That doesn't mean they're coming to your site 27 times. It just means that on average, they sit down 27 separate times before they've gone through the process enough to convert. So if we're only writing content for the extreme bottom, which is buy this car now or get this service now, you're missing out on the other 26 times that that person is doing research. And the sooner you get eyeballs on your dealership in that process, the more likely it is you're going to be chosen. But there's a lot of really generic content here. If we go to the About Us page, We don't even have a picture of the dealership. Your About Us page should have a picture of the dealership. There's not even an embedded photo on this page. And Google's quality rater guidelines say that a useful page will have at least one image on it. Now, there's the image in the background behind the heading right there that just says About Us, but that's not a traditionally embedded image. And why do we care about some gold car? We want to know about the dealership. This page isn't about cars. It's about the dealership and why the dealership's awesome. And we've got some good text like 1987, like all that is good. And that's good and unique and tells about the dealership. Let's get a photo of the dealership on the page. Okay.
Greg, real quick. There was a question for you, and it was, how do you align, quote, used queries when you're forced by some OEMs to use only pre-owned or CPO?
So Mercedes is the only brand that forces you to never say used cars. Every other one suggests that you say pre-owned, but they're okay if you say used cars. So if you're a Mercedes dealership, the button label has to be pre-owned. And technically, it's supposed to be pre-owned in the optimization elements. But what a lot of Mercedes dealers do is they say pre-owned for the website button, but optimized for used cars on all of the page elements. So really, unless you're Mercedes, there really isn't any penalty for saying used cars instead of pre-owned. All right, next one here. We got Bayside Auto Group submitted. Now, this is a group site, so I don't really like to do many audits on these because group sites are great for your paid search because you can load all of your vehicles in and have paid search for one market, and it's really successful. But from a search standpoint for organic search, group sites never really show up well because group sites don't have a physical location. It is not a real world entity, and auto dealers are always treated with the local algorithm when you do a search. So Google's going to use that local algorithm, and there is no Google Business Profile or reviews or actual physical location that's backed up by all the directory sites and other citations online. So group sites don't show up well. So I picked one at random. I just picked the Ford one. I'm in Dallas, so I always do Ford because it's such a crazy Ford market. So, all right, let's look first at site speed. This was 1.85 seconds. I would not even worry about that at all. If we look over here on Yelp, correct name, but again, we're unclaimed. So whoever's working Bayside, you really got to pay attention to Yelp because of the Apple Maps angle. It's also an important citation for both Google and AI search. So you want to be sure that you claim this so that your information is correct. Because if I look over here, it says hours, they are open until 8. So that's correct. But if I look at their reviews, and we start looking through reviews, like they haven't, well, that's didn't work, newest first. So they got a review less than a month ago, and it was a bad review. No response, no response. Multiple bad reviews. All they've gotten in the last year and a half is bad reviews on Yelp. So that's not great. If we're looking here, okay, name correct, Ford dealer correct. Let's check out the other categories. Okay. Car accessory store shouldn't be there, but that's the only one that's incorrect. All the other ones were good. Now, do we have UTM tracking? We do not have UTM tracking. Now, the reason I'm checking this, I didn't explain earlier, is Google Analytics typically does not attribute things correctly, especially when it's mobile traffic. So a lot of your organic traffic gets misattributed as direct traffic. And you've probably been taught that direct traffic in Google Analytics means somebody used a bookmark or typed your name in directly. That's not entirely accurate. What direct means is Google Analytics doesn't know where it came from. So if on mobile, someone does a search and clicks that button, it just gets attributed as direct. So if you use UTM tracking, that forces Google Analytics to attribute it correctly as organic traffic. And it makes it easier for you in Google Analytics and Search Console to kind of sort through the data and figure out, are you getting clicked in the map pack or on your Google Business Profile? Are you being clicked in some organic profile, organic listing in regular organic listings? There's a big difference between those types of clicks, and you want to see that difference. That's why you want to have UTM tracking on these links. And they do have UTM tracking on the products and services link, but not on the website link. And the website one is the one that's going to get clicked significantly more often. Also, I noticed they have a parts separate profile, but they don't have a separate service profile, and service is much more important to include. So we would want to check that out. The honest mechanics and staff, that's a great, you can't really choose which justifications show up, but that's a really good one. Coffee, donuts, water bottles, like these are great justifications. So you got some good reviews. You've got UTM tracking on this one, except notice if you look in the bottom where it's auto completed, we have the medium as social. I didn't check that here. Medium is organic here. That is correct. And I don't know why. I've tried to dig into this for the last 2 years. There is some vendor out there that is telling Ford dealers that the medium is social for your Google business profile, and it is absolutely not correct. So you're actually screwing up your data in Google Analytics for anyone that is clicking on this appointments button because it is being tracked as social traffic instead. Google Posts need lots of help because you can't even see the full truck because it's getting cropped out and the text is getting cropped out. And we don't even have a call to action. Why are you? These are not social media posts. These are ads that are free that appear on your profile. You're marketers. You're putting this up for marketing. You want people to convert off of this. Right now, if I click this, I can see we have a link here. You're actually not allowed to put the phone number and a link in the post like this. Now, it's not like the system automatically doesn't allow it. Obviously, you can do it. You got away with it. But that's not the right way to do this because nobody's going to see that. And what is my interest in clicking on this when I already see $334 per month on the truck? Like, you should put the button or the link that sends me directly to an inventory search for all your Broncos instead of doing it like this. This is very incorrect and not well done. And if a human at Google sees this, these are going to get deleted and disallowed anyway because you're not supposed to be doing that. Let's check their Twitter out. Never posted it before. Again, don't link to these things if you're not using them. But let's look at the website. Now, this is a dealer.com site. So for dealer.com, it is the worst platform to be on in automotive. And here's why. It's still not responsive. Now, they're going to give you some BS where it's responsive, adaptive, or something like that. But the technology behind the platform is not responsive. And as of the page experience update that Google did like 2.5 years ago, if you are not on a responsive website platform, you're automatically demoted and you don't show up as well. We have tons of data that show that it's really bad to be on a dealer.com site. And as a Ford dealer, you don't have to be on dealer.com. Now, it could be that maybe all of the stores in the group are on it. Let's just check out their Kia store because maybe it's that. And that's probably more likely in this case that we're looking at a situation where the group has just decided to be on dealer.com. But you don't really have to be on dealer.com with any of these brands. You have other options. So I would strongly suggest you get off of dealer.com because even not changing a thing, just getting off dealer.com, you're going to show up better. But let's look here. New and used Ford dealership in King George. Okay, people don't search for new and used Ford dealership. They look for Ford. But let's look for Ford dealership King George, Virginia. I can't type. And you're the only one. So again, we're optimizing for something you're already going to rank for inherently because you're the only guy in town. So we should be optimizing for something better than that. Then heading, at least hopefully we see new and used Ford dealership in King George. You can ignore this Bayside Ford because this is actually on the logo. Dealer.com does a lot of boneheaded stuff like that. That one doesn't count. Then we have our happy customers. So again, no cohesive optimization here. We got a bunch of images. Let's do a little trick to see how many images are in this slider. Close that up there because it will say data index. So we've got 9 images in the slider. Not great. Dealer.com typically doesn't allow alt text. You have to really know how to dig into the code. Oh, that's weird links. Look at the content, and we just have a little bit of content again, and there's really nothing here that is very unique. Also, notice how the menu goes to this double space line and wraps. Your inventory should just be new. You don't need to say new inventory, used inventory. Say new cars, used cars. It's shorter. You don't need to optimize for inventory. And the way the button is linked is part of your optimization. And then you have commercial depth. Just put commercial. You can put finance. If you want to put trade there, you can. You just put service. You don't need schedule service separate from service and parts. Then you've got specials and research. Your menu is way too long and it double lines. And it's just an awkward navigation. But then we do have no link to that. We do have a blog. F-150 towing guide for Southern Maryland boating campers. Okay, the towing guide for an F-150 for a boat or a camper is not any different in Southern Maryland than it is anywhere else, and no one's going to search for anything in Southern Maryland anyway. So not really great from a topic standpoint, and it's like maybe 200 words long. Again, that's not going to be enough to be what's considered a relevant answer. And then the Ford F-150 is the perfect winter truck. Posted in January, so you've only done one blog post since January. That is not great either. I forgot to start my timer on this one, so I am not sure where we are, but we're at 12:36, so I would think I got a couple of minutes left. Let's look at used. We have used cars for sale. That's good. But then used trucks and SUVs in King George. Again, we want the King George by used cars. So it should be used cars for sale in King George or used cars in King George. And then you could also say used trucks for sale, used SUVs, whatever. But then again, hopefully we either see used cars for sale or used trucks and SUVs in the heading. And the heading, I can tell you right now because I know what site it is pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs, bar King George. So not well optimized there either. Let's look at their About Us page. Very generic. This looks like a page that would work for just about any dealer. And we've got content way at the bottom where no one's going to see it. And this at least looks like some unique content. So that's good. So pretty good there. I am curious why a Ford dealer has, oh, we are linking to all of the other brands. Okay, this is odd too. This is your About Us page. This is about Bayside Ford, not all of the other stores in the Bayside Auto Group. So you should really have an About Us link to About Bayside Automotive or something like that. It doesn't make sense for this page to be about your dealership and to have a bunch of different brand logos that point to other dealerships, or at least have some sort of a heading or at least a sentence of text that says, if you'd like to check out other stores and other brands in our automotive group, click on one of these logos. But also notice, like, if you can see when I do this, just to see, if I'm going centered through these logos using the bottom line of this screen capture, those logos aren't even all centered vertically. So the logos aren't centered there. But then notice the next line, you've got Chrysler, then Dodge is up, then Jeep is down, then Ram and Ford. Then you have these weird, like, just the layout and alignment of this is very odd. So I would consider fixing that as well.
Yeah, Greg, we're at time for this one. But before you move on to the next site, we did have a couple more questions come in for you. So Rachel Johnson said, similarly to sort of the used CPO issue, Toyota doesn't allow you to say in a city unless you're actually located in the city. So she's been using near to help with SEO. Any other workarounds you would recommend?
Just don't say in, just say Toyota dealer city and not say in city. Now, if Toyota's being really stupid now about not letting you say you're in the city, if you're in the suburbs of the metro and people call the metro, like Dallas as an example, people in Plano might search Plano, or they may search Dallas. You might be in a suburb and search the city. And if Toyota is being crazy where you can't say that you're in Dallas when you're in the Dallas market, then you got to put near. You just got to realize you're optimizing for a way that customers aren't going to search, and it's not ideal.
Yep, she says the compliance has gotten super picky. Do you know, Greg, if in your lineup we have any home care businesses that were submitted?
We did not have any submitted.
Okay. And
all right.
That takes
Next
care of it.
One up is this, which is a storage unit, like self-storage in Bremen, which is like, forget where does it say where it is? Indiana. All right. So speed test, 2.85 seconds for a pretty simple storage site seems to be fairly long. So I would check that out a bit. The name matches between Google and Yelp. The problem is Yelp, again, unclaimed. So we want to get that Yelp claimed. And we had a review this year. So that's an important one. If we're looking at Google Business Profile, we have self-storage facility. Now, self-storage is not going to have as many categories available as a car dealer, but let's see what they've got. Okay, self-storage facility, boat storage, RV storage, storage facility. Okay, that's all good. That is all excellent. Do we have UTM tracking? We do have UTM tracking, so that is great. We don't have to worry about departments here. We can look at their reviews. Now, only 14 reviews and 3.6, that's really not great. So I would pay attention to reputation management. I would make sure you're making it easy for people to leave reviews and asking all of your customers that are currently renting storage units to leave reviews for you, because you can get that 3.6 turned around very quickly. Now, if you had 500 reviews, it would be hard because you'd have to get a significantly higher number of 5-star reviews to change that aggregate score. But at only 14 reviews, you could get 2 or 3 5-star reviews, and that's going to already bump you up to a 3.7 or a 3.8. So, 5 or 6 reviews is now giving you 50% more reviews than you currently have. Now, slightly less than 50%. I suck at math, but you get my point. Just a handful of reviews is going to drastically improve that score. And then if I'm looking here, you've gotten 2 reviews in the last 6 months, and none of these reviews have a response. This one is talking about a shady owner who doesn't stand behind his words. All he had to do was be honest. Like that would be a pretty easy response to do. That other 1-star doesn't have text, so you can't respond. They don't give the deposit back even with a 10-day notice. That might just be part of your business. Like if that's clearly outlined and people just don't remember the agreement, that's an easy one to respond to. I rented a storage unit from the kiosk, and arriving, it was locked and somebody else was using it. So I contacted and they said it was being rented by someone else and they would work and resolve the issue. It's been 2 months and I've called them and they canceled it. Okay, that's a problem. That's 2 years ago, but still, that's not great reviews, guys. So I would pay attention to that. Pulling reviews in, it's only pulling in Facebook. You got a 1 out of 5 on Facebook, so that's not great. Here's a problem with the justification. You got a good one, easy to work with and clean units and friendly service, but shady owner would highly recommend at all costs, lied to me a few times. That's not going to make people feel very comfortable calling you. So then let's look here. I would get rid of this top bar because you can have a pay the bill button without having to have this extra instructions thing that bumps everything down. But if we look, I would assume this is a WordPress site. Lord. This isn't a WordPress site. So maybe it's, let's see if we can see in the bottom, Storage Pug. I don't even know what that is. But showing your 4.7 there isn't great. If we look back on this, where you're 3.6, so you're saying you're a 4.7 rated, but anybody looks on Google and you're 3.6, again, that's a big loss of trust very quickly when people come into your site. And you've got this image and it's okay, but then we scroll down, all of this is great, on-site kiosk, like this is great information. Then these are the kiosks and cost. That's great. No problems there. This stuff, your information is great. This looks like a really great site so far. Really, your biggest problems are the reviews. Reviews like this, people don't really care. They want to read honest, unbiased reviews on other sites. So that's where you need to be paying attention to things. Then if we look, let's see, boat and RV storage, I would have 2 separate pages because if you remember, earlier in the webinar, I mentioned it's 1 concept per page. So this should be boat storage as 1 page, RV storage as another page, climate control storage as 1 page, commercial, drive up. Those are all good. So let's look at climate controlled self-storage. And for this, it's just climate controlled self-storage. We don't have Bremen, which is the city that you're in. Super important. Unless, let's look at I would guess that there's other storage places in town. And yeah, there's a bunch. So you want to optimize for how the algorithm needs to get the information. And right now, climate controlled self-storage, and you've got that for your heading. So at least you're matching there, but you need to get Bremen in there. And then we've got some text here. I would get some more photos There's only a couple of photos on the page. There's not really much text here. Let's check this and see if this is unique text. Wow, that is a problem. Okay, notice here, I am copying stuff. Let's go back to the home page and try it on the home page. I am copying stuff that should for sure show up, and I've got Bremen in it, so it should be the only site that it shows up in. Okay, see, this one shows up, and I get 1. But if I'm coming to one of the interior pages, let's try boat and RV storage, and I copy some text off of this page, and I go to Google and I search for this page, Google doesn't see this page. So Google is not seeing your storage type pages. Let me see really quick and get a little nerdy. Don't have robots.txt declared here. Let's look if index. Yeah, we don't have a robots declaration, so we don't have anything in the code that is saying specifically not to index this page. I don't know this platform, so there might be something in the platform, but whoever's watching this, I would for sure go in and see what's going on with this platform, because all of your storage types, which is how customers are going to search for you, not indexed in Google, which means you're not going to show up in Google and you're not going to show up in AI. So if this is a 5x10 unit, we don't really even have text on this page to check that with. Let's try, we don't have an About Us page. You need an About Us page that talks about your business and why you're great. You need a blog for the reasons I talked about earlier. So yeah, a lot of, let's try this storage tips page and just see. Yeah. Could try this. This is duplicated off of something on Facebook for Secure and Go Storage, and it's on First Storage. So this is on about 500 other websites. So I bet if we come here, oh, look at that. Everybody on this storage platform gets the same storage tips page. So it's broken up differently, but look, we've got this label all boxes. If I come back here and we have a label all boxes, I bet this text, clearly label boxes so you know their contents and keep a list. Clearly label boxes and know their content and keep a list. So you're just getting duplicate content from everybody else that's using the same provider for this website. So I would honestly bounce off of this, get yourself a WordPress site, bounce off of this horrible host that's giving you duplicate content, because that's not going to help you at all. And if you're paying for SEO, you might be paying this company. That's really bad when half of your content on your website isn't even indexed by Google and the other half is duplicate of everybody else on the platform. That's super bad. So we got time to do maybe 1 or 2 more if I go lightning mode.
Yeah, we got time for 1 more, but before you start that, we had another question come through for you, Greg, and it's that, do you think for dealer groups or any website linking out to their other owned websites that it's necessary to mark those links as no follow?
Not necessary, doesn't matter. Google knows the relationship and it's not going to penalize you for linking out to your own sites. So yeah, no need to worry about that at all. All right, this one, hopping up north to our neighbors in Canada, looking at Wheaton Honda West. We do have parts and accessories and service separately, so that is good. Let's see if we've got the right categories selected. So we've got Honda dealer, auto repair shop, wrong. Mechanic, wrong. Oil change service, tire shop, wrong. So you already have your separate service profile. Put your service categories there and make the primary profile all about just selling cars. 4.5 with 2,900 reviews, super awesome. We're not really worried about these from a few hours ago, but there's one 5 days ago with no response. Also, top-notch parts desk. You should be making sure people are leaving reviews in the right spot. That should go as a review on your parts profile, not this one. But it looks like pretty much, oh, nope, here's a bunch more not getting responded to. So you're very sporadic in your responses. I would respond to every single review. If we look at lowest, you do have some responses there, so we're good. UTM tracking, we do have, it is correct. And we do have it on both, so that is awesome. Looking through 4.7 of 5. Okay, again, here's a service justification, which means you're getting service reviews on this profile, so you should push that off. Again, here's another service one. This one's about sales, so that's good. Again, Google posts, they're not really being treated right. And if this is my last chance to get a Honda Civic for 78 weekly, why don't you have a link? You don't even have a link. You have nothing. And look how big this image is with all of that info, but it crops down to the smaller thing that you can't even read. So Google posts definitely need some help. Let's check Twitter again. Maybe someday we'll find, so there's another one. Haven't ever posted to Twitter, so get rid of that link. We are good here. I don't know why Yelp looks funny, but we're looking okay there. From a site speed perspective, very, very fast for this site. So that's awesome. So then again, get rid of this pop-up. You're covering up your navigation for scheduling service. I guarantee you want more people to click schedule service than you want to click on a random chat to close it. So I would fix that. If we're looking here, we have, again, dealership name first. You don't need to optimize for that. Then you've got Honda dealership in Calgary, I would guess. Now, see, there are multiple ones, but we are Wheaton Honda West, and Wheaton Honda West isn't showing in the top 3. Let's see how far down they are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th down in the list. So that shows that there is some area of possible. Oh, why did that go away? That's not where I wanted to be. Oh, because I just opened the different thing. Yeah, so optimize a little better will help you show up more there. But if we're looking here, Honda dealership in Calgary, do we have that here? We have welcome to Wheaton Honda West Calgary. Now, right here, there is zero reason that you need to have that as 2 different headings. That's very poorly coded. That could just be a single heading. So that's not great. But also just saying welcome to the name of my dealership is not a good H1 heading. But we don't have a slideshow, so that's great. We do have a little slider here, but that's okay because that's offers. We've got some why buy stuff. That looks really stellar. Download the app as a massive big image. I would not do, because guess what? People don't really care about downloading your app. So this is not more important than talking about why people should buy from your dealership. So if you still want to have that, I would reduce the size, because let's open the image in a new tab. That's how big the image actually is. The reason it looks fuzzy and crappy here is because the image is only this large, and you're asking the browser to scale up and zoom in. So if you want it to be this large, upload the right image so it doesn't look crappy on your site, or you could have it be even smaller than this. Like, it doesn't make sense to have this giant thing about an app. And still, exclusive access to sales and special deals. Why is anybody going to download your app before they're even a customer? So I just think that's a little bit misaligned with how customers work. But then here we have new and pre-owned Honda vehicles in Calgary. Your text is very hard to read with that white text on top of an image background. No one's going to go, oh, I bought a car from this guy because he had some cool pictures behind his text. In fact, they're less likely to buy from you because it's hard to read. So I would make just a standard background behind that and not the weird car photos behind it, because it's just too hard to read. But then everything else is okay. Let's go in and let's look used. That's annoying. All right, used cars. We have used cars, SUVs, trucks for sale in Calgary. Again, we want used cars in Calgary as close together as possible. And the H1 is 58 vehicles for sale. So we don't have used cars, but we do have Calgary. So, you know, it's kind of okay. They dropped their blog as a primary menu button, which isn't an awful idea if you've got room to do it. They posted something yesterday, so that's great. Alberta hail protection. I wouldn't really optimize for that. This, we've got preparing your vehicle for Alberta hail season. That wouldn't be good because people don't look for that. prepping your vehicle for hail season in Alberta would be something that would be much more likely to catch what someone would type into AI or into Google. Or Calgary hail tips. Nobody's going to look for Calgary hail tips. They're just going to look for hail tips. So not ideal. Let's see if this is unique. Oops. Can I not copy text? Ideally, we're only going to see one thing as a result here, and we see nothing. So we've got a problem with this blog content being indexed by Google, which is really problematic because you're doing blog stuff to show up in more Google searches. And if Google can't see your blog content, that is not going to help you whatsoever. So I would definitely figure that out. Meet our team awards. We don't have a leave us a review button, so that's not great. And this one here, big photo of the dealership. See how big that photo actually is. Okay, this, you want to upload images at the size that they're intended to be displayed. So same problem with the homepage. You went the wrong direction. You loaded in a smaller image and made the browser blow it up. With this one, you're loading in a much larger image and making the browser shrink it down, which means that this image, if we inspect here, I can see what the size differential is. This image is being displayed at 1437 by 632, but it's really 2560 by 1126. So it's almost twice as large as it needs to be, which means the page is going to load slower for no reason. So I would fix that for sure. And then this is good content. So I don't really mind a lot of this. So nice job on this one. You also have this get our exclusive specials link up here. So I wouldn't have that giant thing on the homepage. And let's do a lightning round here real quick at the end. We had Preston Ford and Maryland come up. Here's the problem with this one. You don't have a Preston Ford Yelp profile. You only have Preston Ford Commercial Vehicle Center, so things aren't going to match up. So if this is really just for the entire dealership, get Commercial Vehicle Center off of this and make it just Preston Ford. You are claimed, though, and everything's good there. Site loads in 9 seconds, so it is pretty slow. This is a dealer on site. Dealer on sites don't typically load that slowly, so it's probably a plugin slowing you down or a third-party vendor. You got 2 big old pop-ups here. Privacy policy, you're not really in trouble for. But the chat pop-up, again, you're covering stuff that is vital for navigation, so you will get dinged for that. If we are looking here on the home page, new and used Ford car dealer. Nobody looks for a Ford car dealer. They look for a Ford dealer. And they don't look for a new and used Ford dealer. They look for a Ford dealer. So poor optimization. And then you don't want to have that vertical bar in there because that's separating phrases. So you have car dealer separated from the city, which nobody's going to just search for the city. And then again, let's look for Ford dealer Easton. What is that? They are. Oh, it's in Hurlock. Why does it say Easton? Why are you saying Easton? What is Hurlock? That's a weird thing. Okay, you're in Hurlock, so let's do. How far away are they? Okay, this is a cute. Oh, that's bad because that's not. Okay, 30 minutes away. You're optimizing for Easton. You're in Hurlock. Your dealership is literally in Hurlock. And for some reason, your homepage, you're saying you're in Easton. Maybe that's just the closest large city, but that's extremely bad. You are not going to show up well in Easton when you're trying to optimize your homepage for being there, when I'm sure at the bottom of the page, you have your address that says you're in Hurlock. So that's very poorly executed. And then the heading on the page is new and used Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs for sale in Hurlock. So you're not matching up your city between the 2 most important SEO elements on the page. So that's problem. We got a slider here. Let's see if you've got alt text on these images. You do have alt text, so that's good. Really quickly, you got a lot of content and it looks pretty unique, so that's good. You don't have a leave us a review button. We do have a blog. American-made vehicles at Preston Ford. Would question why you would need to put a post up like that. Ford employee pricing for all is okay, but you don't need that big of a post for it. When should you trade in your car? Let's just see if this is unique. And that is Preston Ford, but it's also on a lot of other Ford dealer websites, so that's not unique content. Let's see how many sites it's on. 40-something websites. So that's not great either. So whoever's writing your content for your blog, it's definitely not you guys, because it wouldn't be the same content on a bunch of other sites. So whichever provider you're using for SEO or for content is just reusing the same content, because that same content, this is a blog post. This isn't a website page. This is a blog post. It should be unique to you. So how's it on 40-something other websites? That's really bad. They're just using the same blog post over and over again.
Yep, and we are one minute past the hour, Greg. We're out of time. Thank you so much for all of those insights. I'm going to share my screen before I let everyone go. Let's do that. Entire screen. And if you are interested in receiving an audit, we run audits for businesses. We'll give you insights. You'll hop on a call with me. We'll review the findings. So scan that QR code, submit if you would like an audit from SearchLab Digital. Again, we will, hopefully I'll be feeling better by then, and we'll hop on a call again, review those audit findings that you're to have in perpetuity. So once you get the audit done, you're going to get a copy of it, and it's yours to have. But we're going to review so you get all of the insights we have to share, just like how Greg went through all these different sites, all these different pages. We can do that for you. Again, it's just one of the efforts SearchLab does to make ourselves a little different, a little more helpful for small businesses out there. So again, thanks for joining us today. And Greg, thank you for letting me rest my voice and lead the charge.
Yeah, it's always fun to do these. And for anybody that still sees this QR code and you haven't scanned it yet, I am in the process, in the final stages of having AI do these audits instead of either me or Dane doing the audit. And I'm literally going through and training the AI to be as smart as Dane and I are. So it will answer exactly like either I would answer or Dane would answer. So if you submit it, you'll be part of our kind of testing group. Not that it's any benefit to you, but I will be using this where it's one of the ones where we're in the final stages of testing, where we test the AI's answer against my answer. And then I can train the AI to be better. So you would kind of be helping us out, which helps all dealers out in the future.
Yep. All right. I'll leave that QR code up for just another second. There's still some folks in the room. Maybe they're getting their phones out. And again, thank you so much, Greg Gifford. It's always a learning experience when I see you do your work.
It's always fun to be here with you, man.